platform, but from the start, we have said that it's so important for us not only to have studies not only to have studies in the internet, but actually to meet together and so on. So we really, really ask you to prioritize when we have a couple of times in a year a possibility to sit together several hours to see each other, and even more important, or in addition, I won't say what's more important, in addition to study Torah in, I won't say deeper way, but in a bigger way when we could have a whole weekend together. So really, really do your biggest effort if you can to come. If not, of course, there's something very important. So it's important for us to know how many are coming, so we will be prepared and give a feedback in any case, so we'll know more or less where we are. We are now today, some very few days before Pesach. We are studying the last of the series of topics that are related to several mitzvot, that we have learned about money and business and things around that. We have studied the way of doing business in an honorable way. We have spoken about giving lost items back and things like that. Today we will study about paying on time. Mainly, according to what we will see in Torah, mainly paying for our employees on time and not waiting. It's of course also a very important mitzvah, even if we think, oh, that's only like, okay, that's a formality. So I hope we will see that it's not only a formality. If we maybe have some time in the end, before the hour has gone, we maybe have some time to just repeat a little details for Pesach that is coming this week, just to remind, and if anyone has any questions. So maybe we'll have 10 minutes in the end, I hope, to speak a little about Pesach, since it's not weird to study any Torah all year, but it's a little weird to be some few days before Pesach and not to speak about it, even if we learned about Pesach here last year, for those of you who have been a part of that. Yes, so I'll jump directly to the sources. I'm with a new computer, so I'm sorry if there will be some good. Okay, so I have the text in the side. That wasn't the text we should wait. This one was the text. Here. Anyone? Tom, could you try to read? Sorry, just picking someone.
Sure.
Thank you. Just sentence, like we can see, we're here in the text here is speaking about several rules. It's in Parashat Kedoshim. You should be holy, and we have many rules about how you shouldn't treat people wrongly, shouldn't lie, and so on. And in sentence 13, we have directly the mitzvah about paying on time. If you could read it.
You shall not defraud your fellow Israelite. You shall not commit robbery. The wage of a robbery shall not remain with you until morning.
Okay.
Wage of
labor.
Labor shall not remain.
Shall not remain until morning. Okay. In Hebrew, it says "Lo ta'ashok et re'acha." La'ashok means not giving them something that is theirs, like it's stealing, but not like active taking from them. It's more not giving them what is theirs. That was the first one. It's a kind of stealing. Lo tigzol is here translated to robbery. And then the last one is wages of labor. You should not remain with you until morning. Okay. Why these three mitzvot in the same sentence? What is the connection between them?
All related to money.
All related to money, yes. Okay, well, I'll ask what's the difference between them? And then we'll ask what's the connection between them. Maybe. Yes? In the two first, you take money that is not yours, okay? So it's a very serious action that we all agree about, that stealing money that is not mine, that is very serious. Even if I choose not to pay, let's say, not to pay salary, okay? If I don't pay salary, I don't break the last rule in the sentence, I break the first rule in the sentence that says you shouldn't la'ashok, okay? Meaning, people don't get what they deserve. I take money that is actually not mine. I keep it in my hands. That is a kind of stealing. That is a kind of way of changing the way we divide money in the world in a wrong way. This money shouldn't be in my property, it's someone else's property. And number two is the same. I take property that it should be someone else's and I take it to myself. Again, is that a very serious way of taking something that is not yours? Very serious. And the last part of the sentence says something that, of course, we could, I think, all agree is problematic, but it's paying salary for someone who has done a work for you, and you don't pay him on time. So I don't take money that is not mine, I'm just paying late. Okay, we could say money that is not mine is on my property another day, but only another day. Why are these three in the same sentence when there's so big difference between them in content? We should say you should not steal. That's very important. Okay, that's very important. Don't take money that is not yours. After we say that, we could also say, and it's also important to pay on time. No, it's in the same sentence. Okay, in the same sentence it says all three. And in addition, just to remark the sentence here, it's not only pay on time, it says the money from the one who works shouldn't be in your property and your property until morning. So it says a very clear and strict rule about not having, not waiting until morning. Works today. If the money is in my pocket next morning, then I break this rule. So it's a very strict rule on something that seems not as I won't say important, but it's not the same. If I pay tomorrow instead of today, it's not the same as stealing. I think we could agree about that. It's not the same. Okay, maybe we could answer that question together with the next source. I just to say in this source, the word in Hebrew is lotalin, okay? Lotalim comes from the word of lalun, same as malon, if anyone knows a hotel, meaning you shouldn't sleep over it, okay? You shouldn't sleep over with the money, okay? In a way, it doesn't say it like in the halacha, but don't go to bed and before you have paid the money. Because if you go to bed, then you wake up in the morning and you have his money in your pocket. And it's a little similar to another place where we have the same shoresh on something totally different, and then that is burying our dead. That also it's called halanat hamet. So it's called halanat zachar when you wait a day with paying salary and you go overnight with the salary. And in the same way, we actually also call waiting with the dead halanat hamet, shouldn't wait. So it's like very clear that there's a time frame here that for Torah is very important. Now we could go to the next source. Actually, here. Number 14 and 15. Yes. Tom, could you read again? Sorry.
You should not abuse a needy and destitute laborer, whether a fellow Israelite or a stranger in one of the communities of your land.
Okay, so here again we use the word la'ashok. You shouldn't not pay. Okay, and when we only read this sentence, it could seem as if it means that you should pay the money. You shouldn't steal. So you should pay the money from the one who works in you, and it uses the word ani ve'evyon, that is someone who is needed, someone who is poor and so on, or needs the money from your fellow brothers or Israelite or a stranger or gircha. Okay, but it's here it says you should pay, but in the next sentence it's also put the time frame for it. Number 15.
You must pay the wage due on the same day before the sunset, for the worker is needy and urgently depends on it. Else a cry to Hashem will be issued against you and you will incur guilt.
Okay, so very strict sentence with the guilt, the het, it says here, and the saying that he will wait for the money, and when he won't come, he will maybe curse you and tell Hashem, oh, curse this person that doesn't pay on time, I need the money, and it sticks to you. And what does it say? It says you have to pay him on the day, okay, on the same day. But here there is a difference from what we saw in the first source. What is the difference when we see the sentence? When is the time frame until when we have to pay?
The due date.
What?
The due date.
No, the due time on the
due
day.
time.
When is the due time on the day here? Before?
Sunset.
Sunsets. Okay. And where is the time here?
The morning.
Until morning. Okay, so here just can see that it's interesting. Both say you have to pay on the same day, but one source told us until sunset and another until morning. We'll use a little time for that also. Okay. So just to go back to the question I asked when we saw the first source, why is it so important, according to your opinion, that the Torah puts the law of stealing or taking property that is not yours, keeping property that is not you, in the same place where it tells pay salary on time. Isn't there a difference between these two? Yes, Lars.
There is if today, I don't know if it is the same, but today, if you have the money for the employee separated and yourself go into bankruptcy, then the people that you are owning money are going to have better right to that money than the employee. So that's where the time actually makes a difference today. So that could be like risking the money to keep them longer
You say
than
something
you should.
interesting that is according to the daily bankruptcy rules that weren't. There is rules around it in the Torah, or in the
it is
around who are the first to get money.
More.
But
maybe
you say
more
if someone
about,
gets bankrupt, then you don't get any money. Or you,
no, yes, but if they are separated, the money, then it depends if it's mixed with all other money or if it's separated, because it's actually rules about that, but that's more like for real estate. But I thought that maybe there could be a little bit same about this in the Torah, that it's important not to risk the money if anyone else have better rights according to the time, some kind of time frame.
Yeah, it's a very good commentary you give us. I have to say, for my opinion, it doesn't answer why it's so important that it's put on the same level, in the same sentence with stealing. But it's, of course, a very good explanation for why it is so important. Yes, Katu or Monica. And you could speak most of you.
Yes, but I think when a laborer has done his work, and the agreement is probably at that time that then they should get their pay, then you are not the owner of the money anymore. It's not your money. So you're keeping something that is somebody else's. And it will probably be against their will because they want their money. They already done what you agreed on what you are agreed that they should do. So it's not your money anymore. It's somebody else's money, and then you can keep it.
So actually waiting a day with money that is not yours in pocket because you shall have to pay it is kind of stealing.
Yeah, it is, because you know who this money belongs to, but still you keep it.
And I also think that the same thing with all different examples is that it's about money or belongings that the other one control, which is somebody else's. Whether you withheld something or you steal something, you take somebody else's values or possessions, and they might be and the one who's got it, he don't know how much the other one needs it, etc. So it's very important that this goes for everyone, whether they're poor or rich or everyone. So it's a very strict rule that concerns everybody.
So you say there's a Friday, I need to buy things for Shabbat, and I say, okay, I need it now. I have money on Sunday, more money on Sunday. I'll wait for Sunday to pay him, but I don't know that he needs the money for Shabbat also. And now I prefer myself and using the money that is not mine because I don't pay him because I want to use the money for something else. And this is, according to what you say, it's a kind of stealing, even if it's only for 1 or 2 days.
In all cases, you have in your possession somebody that belongs to somebody else in one way or another.
Yes, thank you.
According to the old times when it was usual to pay day by day and not month by month or other agreements.
Just to say, in old days, they also had one time for hour, day by day, month for month, year for year, 7 years even. So it's one of the most known stories about someone who had salary for 7 years was Yaakov, who had to work 7 years for Rachel and another 7 years for Rachel again. But it wasn't unusual that people say, I will work for you 6 years, But of course, the way of paying was different in old days, but we can go into details and see that it's not so different today either. It's
But
not so different.
then they have an agreement, and then that's another thing than not having an agreement.
We will speak about that. That's very correct. Helena, did you give up the question or commentary?
Just wanted to add that it's also that you, by not paying, you put the labor in a position where they might have to steal. So it's like both ways, that you're stealing sort of, and they might be put in a place where they need to steal because they didn't.
Okay, so what you say is very interesting. You say, one thing is that I steal from someone, but especially when we see the second source, we speak about poor people. And sometimes they need the money to feed their children. And when we don't give the money, we don't know what it makes them, what happens with them. We could lead them to steal. And because of that, it says it's so important to pay on time. Very good commentary. Daniel?
Yes, I'm thinking about it's a deal because it's an agreement and it's practically an exchange, and you have labor for currency exchange for currency, and it's basically as if you're selling a watch and I delay my payment. It's like delayed payment today if you wait 1 day extra. And we could also reverse it and say, if you would not show up for work for 1 day and still be paid by the employee, would the employee be happy if you said that, okay, I won't come in on Monday, but I will come on Tuesday? Yeah.
Yeah, so I think you say several things that are very important, and especially you spoke in the start that it's actually paying on time. So if we spoke about that, how they paid in old days and today I could have someone who comes to my home and makes it work. He could clean in my home, he could fix the computer in my home, he could fix the oven or anything else, electricity problems. And I will tell him, oh, I'll pay you, but not today, I'll pay you in a while. That is exactly the same, paying for a work. In old days, it was more, and it's still today, if you have a farm or something, you ask someone to come and work in that day, or you have an event and you ask someone to help in the kitchen in 4 hours or 5 hours to help you. In these occasions, you have to pay, okay? I want to add, you have to also pay formally and pay taxes in the land you have, but that's not, it is connected to the Torah that says all the rules in a country are also, in a way, rules for the Torah. But we still have many situations where we fix our car. Do we pay in the time or not? And it's a very important thought to have. Most people that have a good enough economy don't feel it in the same way. And at least if we don't in Norway, if we don't pay on time, then the payments become higher and higher and higher. But it's still, the basic is still the same. There is a person who waiting for this money. Sometimes it's very crucial for them to get the money. I'll add, not only poor people, but even companies can sometimes go bankrupt, not because they don't have the money in potential, but no one pays on time, and then they don't have the money to pay the salaries that they need, and they come to a crisis, and that could make companies go bankrupt. And if they could just get all the money people owe them, they could continue to live. So sometimes it's very crucial on a company level, and especially also on private level. Thank you, Daniel. Eva.
Could this be perhaps put into the perspective that if the person is not being paid after they perform the work, they might feel robbed of their time, and it also provides like the state of insecurity because they don't know if they are actually going to be paid or when and what happens, just like in general, so they can actually feel robbed.
Yes, I could just give you an example from this week, and I was on the wrong side of that story. We have a activity with Shvilim. It's a kind of gap year program in Israel, and the one who leads it doesn't have kind of payment possibility in Israel like we have VIPs in Norway. So what we said is that she sends me a message and I pay with the Israeli bit, and then they get payment. And they had someone who did a kind of guidance for them in Jerusalem. And then I went into my bit and it didn't work. There was a problem. And I tried to change the rules and so the things, and it didn't work. So we didn't pay. And she told him, okay, don't worry, we will fix it. And we tried some hours to fix the bit, and it didn't work. And then we asked him to send us his bank account, and then we send it with the bank account. But in these hours, I go to what you said. There is a person who gave a service, and these people that he doesn't know, he met them once. He never knows, will I see this money or not? Because after they left, people, okay, but now we're on, now we forget about it. So I heard in his messages this feeling of, I don't know if I'll see the money or not. And I think that's very important also in the experience. Not only the money, but the experience is also important. We will maybe see it all even in the sentences. Lars, yes.
Yes, I just wonder today, if there is no due date to pay, if you forgot to agree on when to pay, the law says that you shall pay when the labor wants to have, when he tells you to pay. So at this time, was it the same rule? Like if there is no agreement about when to pay, then the one who is supposed to pay shall pay when you tell them to pay.
It's a very interesting comment you say. I'll answer you after a while because we'll go into the details, but I can give you a spoiler saying it's interesting how similar it is. The rules from the Talmud about this and what you describe here. Very, very similar, and goes also into details in it. Okay, just we spoke about why do we put it in the same frame, and all of you explained in a very I would say correct way and a nice way how a rule that seems small, I don't pay today, I'll pay tomorrow, what's the issue, isn't so small. Either because what does that make the other person feel, do, or what does that mean with me using money today that is actually not mine? It's a little similar to another rule that we haven't studied here, is there are different kinds of keepers. I could lend something from you, I could borrow something from you, and there are different rules about how I have to keep things that I pay for or that I ask for, or sometimes you could ask me, you pay me to keep something that is yours. And there is a last kind of keeper in the Torah or in the halacha, and that is someone who lends without knowledge of the one who he takes from. Okay, I see a pen on the table of my neighbor and I take the pen and write. Do I steal or do I not steal? And normally, if I'm not very sure that he agrees that I take the pen, then if I lend something that I'm not sure that he agrees about, that is actually stealing, even if I put it back afterwards, because I use something that isn't mine. And in that way, what you said is, when I use money that I have to pay today, even if I have more money tomorrow and pay it for someone else, I'm still stealing because I use something that isn't mine. So in that way, it's important in the details to put it in that level, and maybe especially because we could come to disrespect this rule or think that it's a little thing. Then it's even more important to tell us, no, it's actually the same. You have to treat other property as others' property. And not only, because if not, we have this big gray zone, and this gray zone is very problematic. So that's one of the explanations for why we have these three in the same sentence. And just again, before we go to details of halakha, then I want to show you that it says in the sentence that we saw, sorry for looking down, I have the other screen here. Here. It says you have to give him the wages on the same day before the sun sets. And the translation here is for the worker is needy. Okay? And urgently depends on it. And it says in Hebrew, ve'elav hu noseh et nafsho. Noseh et nafsho, for those who understand the little Hebrew, nefesh is the soul. And noseh et nafsho, that it means that he is looking, his soul is looking towards this, waiting for this. And there are different explanations for them. One is a translation that means he is waiting for the money. But the using of nefesh, of soul, gives many explanations for what you said. I will say interesting enough, because I haven't asked the question yet, about what is happening with a person that is waiting for the money and doesn't get it, with his soul, with his family that maybe needs money, I don't have them, and so on and so on. And by that understanding that when we speak about money, we don't only speak about money. Money is also soul. Even if we say the soul is important, money is only money. It's a need that we have in this world to survive. But the most important thing is the spiritual things. I'll say it like in a general way, but of course the spiritual things are important. And as we said in earlier studies, we should look as the money we have, but not as our property, but is a gift from Hashem that we should use on ourselves, on our family, but also on other people. But we also have to remember that it doesn't go in both ways, that if we take money from others, we could damage their soul. And it's like putting it in a reminding us how important this is. I'll stop sharing a little so I can see you better. Talmud is discussing the frame for this mitzvah. And for example, says how many rules you break when you don't pay on time. And it says, okay, you have many none, okay, mitzvot that you're not allowed to do. You're not allowed to steal. You're not allowed to not give money. You're not allowed, not allowed to wait until the morning without paying. And even you break also a mitzvah that is a mitzvah of doing on time, that you have to pay on time. So there are many mitzvot, like if we count mitzvot out of 613, that you break when you don't keep it. In the second hand, the Talmud does discuss this problem we have between two different time frames. Time frame of until sunset or until morning. And based on that, the Talmud tells us that we are speaking about two kinds of workers, a day worker and a night worker, okay? And because of that, there is a difference. Someone who works on the day, only day, you have to pay until the morning after. Okay, and I'll show you, it's a little complicated also here. I'm sharing again, sorry. Here we see already the Shulchan Aruch, okay? Which is the time? Which time is this? Hired by day, the time to give him it to him is all night. If it is given to him and so on, hired by night, the time to give him it is all day. Now we are already in the Shulchan Aruch, one of the books of Halakha, according to what we saw here. So here we separated for two, but if we read on to what it says note, and that's not the Shulchan Aruch, it's the Rema, he says something different. He says, as long as he finished the work on the day, you have to pay before sunset. And as long as he finished the work on night, you have to pay before the morning. Okay? And this creates a very hard situation for us, because let's say that he finished to work 15 minutes before sunset, and I have 15 minutes to pay. And if not, I break the rule from the Torah. And if you finish to work 3 o'clock in the night, I'm sleeping. And the morning I come and I haven't paid, oh, I broke the rule from the Torah. Okay? So it puts it in a very, very strict frame. Here, it just to make it a little easier for us, then it's important to say that this is the frame of if someone is working and you need to pay him when he finishes the work. But there's many situations where that is not the occasion. If someone is working the month, you pay in the end of the month. The Talmud itself says that there are many people who pay always in the market day. Okay, someone helps me to build something that I'm taking to the market and selling there. And it was a norm that you wait until the market day. That is also the day he needs the money, because he gets in the village in all days, they had market days twice a week, or every place has their market days, but the norm in the Talmud is Mondays and Thursdays. And you wait until the market day, and then you have the money, and then he needs the money, so you pay him in that day. And as long as that is agreed, or the norm that is clear, and he hasn't asked for something else, I go back to what Lars said, as long as that is the situation, then you're allowed to pay on the market day. And in that way, if we compare it to salaries today, there is an agreement about when the salary day is for a worker, but you shouldn't wait more. Like someone is salaries, it's a little different from country to country. Some places, if I work January, I'll get the salary for January in February. Some countries, if I work January, I'll get the salary for January in January. But if I work hours, that's how it's here in Norway. Like if I do shifts, then I will get in February for the shift I did in January, because you don't know how many shifts you will have. So if it's time-based, then it's normally just after the month where you did the work. So if I'm working shifts here in the Jewish community in Oslo, and my boss doesn't put in the hours, so I don't get the salary I worked in January, I don't get it in February, it says, no, wait, you'll get it in March. That is a problem, because the norm is that I have to get the salary on time. And on time, as the agreement is, if we speak like according to the law, the agreement is that I have to get paid on time, and that is on the next month. So the agreement is very, very important, and the norms are very, very important, but you're not allowed to go another day over the norms. So it's better to be a day before than the day after, because then again, you break the rules. And even there, if I do a work and I ask you to pay in the same day, then that is the norm. I can't say no, but here, no, we went a month. Okay, as long as we haven't agreed before we work that we work according to the norm, I can't come in after I work and say, no, I want the money now, even when the norm is different. But if I have said that I want the money, then we have to pay when I said it. And also, just to make it a little easier, I say sometimes we have little time. This not waiting until morning or not coming to the sunset only starts when the worker asks for the money. I don't speak when he screams, I want my money, you don't pay me. I just says, okay, when do you pay me? Okay, now it starts. So the Talmud says that it has to be someone who asks for the money. So if he waits for the market day, then it's okay to wait for the market day. But if you haven't agreed about that, and it's not a place where that is the norm, and in the end of the work, he says, I need the money, then you have to pay it at once. You can't wait. There's also a rule saying if you don't have the money, then, okay, you have to pay at once, you can, but you don't break the rule of not paying salary, okay? If you don't have the money, of course, you have to prepare to have the money, but sometimes someone works 2 weeks in my home, and something happened and I don't have the money, and I tell him, I'm sorry, I don't have the money, I'll pay you in 2 days, I'll do everything I can, then it's not seen as I break the rule of what we call lehalin sachar, waiting over the night. And I think that is interesting enough, a little similar to what I think Monica said, because I'm not stealing his money, I don't have the money. So it's not that I have the money and I'm using it for something else. That is stealing. But I don't have the money, it's not good, but I'm doing everything I can to pay him as fast as possible. So there is a little, also the Talmud says something about that also. So generally, just to say how the rule is, the rule according to the Torah is that you have to pay day work in the end of the day. If it goes into the night, to the end of the night the same. So when they're finishing the work, sunset and morning are the times that are relevant according to the Torah, if he asked for the money, and if there isn't another norm or agreement that is another time, and then it's not, oh, I can't wait until February to pay for you. No, the norm is that we take the money from January and we pay February. I'll just explain, I hope it's not too many details. And a good example is, I said, if I do shifts in January, my employer is forced or need, if me as an employer, I have to pay someone who did shifts in January, let's say in February, if that is the norm. But if he hasn't sent in the forms about when he worked and he is waiting with that, then you can't say that I haven't paid. And oh, he didn't work and I haven't paid, I broke the rules of the Torah. No, in that way, he hasn't asked for it yet. And then if he sends it in February and I pay it in March, I'm still in the frame of paying on time. Yes, Lars.
I must complicate this one more step in accordance with what I started with. Okay, let's say it's not about bankruptcy, but it's about better rights to money. You said that it's okay to pay before, but if I pay some workers before, and then I don't have the money to pay someone else because I didn't follow the agreement. I follow the agreement better for the workers, but for myself, I actually drained my money. I could have paid all the laborers a percentage, but I prioritized certain and gave them all the money. That's also within the thing that I said before. Who has the better right to the money? So then it should
I totally agree with what you say. I didn't want to go into these kind of details, but if I could pay for a car we bought for my business, I can pay it in 60 days, and I pay it now. And because of that, I don't have money to pay salaries tomorrow when the deadline for salaries is. That's very wrong. That's very wrong. And I can't say, but I don't have the money. I paid for the car now. Okay? So I totally agree with you that when you have a sum of money, you have to prioritize salaries. And that's also according to halakha. But I didn't want to go into a kind of prioritize of when you owe money, who takes first. It's an important discussion, but it's a little different.
Is it rules about it? Is it rules about it in Talmud? Is it rules about it in Talmud?
Yes. There are lots of rules about it, but it goes into more details. It's not only these two. It's also if there are different kinds of secure in property that you sell on, and I don't want to go into all the details. It's very complicated, but I agree with you that there is a rule about prioritizing, and that's a part of it, of course. And salary is one of the highest. Prioritizing because it's not your money; it's money you should give. Okay, just one last interesting detail about not paying on time. When we see the rule from the Torah says you shouldn't wait until sunset and you shouldn't wait until morning. And the way the Torah understands that, or the Talmud understands that, or the way we understand that, is that we break this rule only once. Okay? And it's a little weird. The Torah says that you're not allowed to wait in the morning, meaning that if I had someone who worked on the night and I have to pay him a night and I waited until morning, I haven't paid him, then I break the rule of not paying until the morning. What will happen now? Do I continue breaking this rule every morning? No, only once. And in principle, it's a little weird, but because I said, oh, now I break the rule, so now I can wait another 2 months. But of course, the halacha doesn't say it. According to the halacha, and they learn it not from the Torah, but they learn it from Mishlei. There is another rule that is called that you're not allowed to wait with payments that you could pay. Okay, and that is not a rule from the Torah, but it's a rule from the rabbis that they learned from the holy texts. And because of that, we say also after you break the rule, you're still obligated to pay as fast as possible because you continue not to follow what the rabbi said. And the sentence, we can see it together, they learn it from here. From, I don't know the English words for it, Mishlei, Proverbs, I don't remember the Norwegian word now either, but it says here, do not withhold good from one who deserves it when you have the power to do it. And then the next one, do not say to your fellow, come back again, I'll give you it to you tomorrow when you have it with you, okay? I have the money in the pocket and I come tomorrow, okay? In a way, enjoying even, I take it another level, enjoying the power I have, that I have the money in the pocket and he needs me now to get the money. So it says against that. And according to that, the rabbis learned that even after the morning, you have to pay as fast as possible, okay? You have to pay as fast as possible. But I thought a little about, and I read a little text before the shiur, because it still seems weird that the Torah doesn't say that, okay, after the time, the deadline has gone, then there's no more deadline. It's a little weird. We should have said, it would have been much better that every morning or every evening or every morning and evening, if you want, is another deadline. So you break all the rules day after day after day when you wait. And the Torah doesn't say that. The Torah says one deadline, the way we understand it, and then the rabbis say, but you break the rule from the rabbis that you still have to pay as fast as possible. And one of the answers that I liked a little was, that if we would have said that every time morning and evening is breaking the rules, in one hand, we have more amount of mitzvot that we break. In the second, it could give us the feeling, the psychological feeling that, okay, the idea of the Torah is pay as fast as possible. Because if not, we break lots of rules. When the Torah tells us that if the morning has come in a situation where we have to pay until the morning, or the sunset have come in a situation where we have to pay until the sunset, we have broken the rule of the Torah, and that is the rule, and there's no more rule after that. In a way, it makes us more understanding that this is a rule we have broken and you can't repair it. It's the stealing, you have stolen. Okay, I can give the stolen back afterwards. I can pay afterwards. That's okay, you have to pay, it's not yours. You're not allowed to steal. You steal if you don't pay salary. But you have broken something else that is not only about money, that in the end should come to its original owner, but has to come to its real owner on time. And because of that, it's in a way, that's one of the explanations I think was very nice, saying if we have many deadlines, then deadlines, we don't take them seriously. If there's only one, then it's over. Then I have in this deal or with this worker, I have broken the rule. Finished. I should pay after, but I'm stealing. And I can't tell myself, yes, but there was a special situation and I paid him the day after. It reminds me how important it is. And in a way, what we actually see, and I'll try to finish with that because I wanted to say some words about Pesach. In a way, understanding that there is, in addition to the line of where should the property be, that is normally what we think when we speak about money. Who should in the end get the money? And that is the most important thing, that everyone, the money will go to its real owner, that the property will be in the real hands, that we won't fool each other. But there's also the timeline. Here the timelines come in, and it's also an important effect, because time and property also have an effect. I have to say, as you said, maybe much better than I thought, about the words I could come with, about which effect does that have on a person that needs this. Torah speaks about, and you don't know if the other person is needed or not. He needs the money. And we, on our own conscience or an own sin, decide for him that he won't have the money today when he needs it. And that is another angle of the rules of property that people normally could disrespect and not take seriously enough, not only ensuring that property will be in the right hands, but it will be in the right hands in the right time. And that is what comes very clearly out of this halakha that speaks, when we read it, about labor, people who work, but it's also payment. It's the same about payment for a shop that needs the money, because in the end we get a treatment and we need to pay for it. So also in halakha, it goes into all kinds of payments, not only directly labor as we know with a worker in the traditional way. So we learned that from this. So thank you for listening to these 4 weeks where we studied property and halakha. And as we in the start spoke, it's very important for me at least that we understand that Torah is not only, it's a religious frame, but it's not only a religious frame that relates to the religious ceremonies or rules. It goes into all the life frames, and it's important not to steal from other persons because we're human beings and we want society that is right. And we know that it's bad for us if we steal from others, the society others will steal from us, and it's good for us. All of that is good reasons for keeping these rules, but we, as believers, we have another lay. It's not instead, it's not better or worse. A human, someone who's good, even if he doesn't believe in God, that means he's a very good person. So I don't want to say that the believers are better. But as believers, we also keep it because we believe in Hashem. And we believe Hashem asked us, or not asked us, demands from us to behave in that way. And in that way, when we do it, we don't only do a good thing towards our other people or righteous, we also do things towards the understanding of behaving in the way our Creator wants us to behave. We have very few minutes, so I'll just very, very shortly remind the order of this week, so that we will be well prepared for this week. On Tuesday evening, the tradition is to check the homes for chametz. Evening is night, like when it's dark. We all prepare our homes already. Many have done it in some weeks, some do most of the work this week, but it's like the end of the checking the home for chametz, because the day after you don't have time for that. So ensuring that if you have any chametz in your home, that is found and put aside in a very clear place. The tradition is to say what we have in the Haggadah or in the Siddur about the bracha and the way we go room after room and check. On Wednesday morning, early here in Oslo, it's I think 9:30. Until then, we're allowed to eat chametz. After that, it's not allowed to eat chametz anymore. It's important to remind that even if Pesach is in the evening, the rule about not eating chametz is already from early on the day before Pesach. makes it a little hard because we're not allowed to eat matzah until the evening. So we only can eat some things that are not chametz and not matzah. And then we have a couple of hours after that to finish with all the chametz that we have, meaning to burn it or to throw it out and to ensure that we don't have any chametz at home. Until then, we could also, those who sell chametz, we have to do that before that. So if you have the rabbis in your community that gather sheets for selling chametz, then you do it before that and ensure that everything is locked in places that you want to lock it. I normally suggest, if it's not worth a lot, not to sell any chametz, to give it to neighbors that aren't Jewish, or to eat it in the few days we have. Only selling things that are not chametz but are not kosher for Pesach. But if you have things that are worth a lot and you really don't want to throw food, then it's of course allowed to sell chametz. When we burn the chametz, we also say the text, and it's very important to say it, because in that way we secure that even if we have in our home forgotten any chametz or didn't check all the places, then we are totally okay. If we say that we analyze, we say that it's a bitul chametz, we say that even if there's chametz, we don't want it, it's nothing for us. And by that, we are halachically ensured that we go into Pesach with no chametz in our homes. That is Tuesday evening and Wednesday morning. Then, of course, Wednesday evening, we have Leila Seder, where we gather, and then we have to, of course, eat the matzah, that's a mitzvah, and we have to eat the maror, that is a mitzvah, and we have to tell the story of the exodus from Egypt. That is a mitzvah from the Torah, and we have many more traditions that we do. We have all of them in the Haggadah, so follow the Haggadah and you have it on, but it's good to discuss, not only read, but actually speaking, telling about the story of going out of Egypt with the children or with anyone you're sitting with. That's a very important thing that is the main focus this week. And it's only starting the 8 days of Pesach, days where we have Yom Tov in the 2 first and 2 last days, but also have days to be with our family and enjoying our freedom. And so I just wanted to repeat these details. Good to have a repetition. If you have any question, you could contact me or any rabbi or anyone, or read the books or the Google rabbi if you want to get good advices of how to do things. So I thank you all for participating and wish everyone Chag Pesach Kasher V'Sameach. Have a good, happy and kosher Pesach for everyone.
I wish you the same.
Thank you.
Chag Pesach Sameach.
Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.
Kosher Pesach.
Bye.
Yeah.
Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.